Right, good evening, grade 10s. So this piece of code here is for 1.2 that you guys are going to do in class tomorrow. So I've just given you guys a heads up because it's quite a bit actually. You can see it's all of that. Okay, so 1.2, the user enters in the square meters for a wall that they're painting. They're painting a wall or a house or anything. And we know they're painting because they will check that. I'm not going to bother with tiling now. I'm just going to cover this part where they paint. And the question says we get 5 liter buckets, 2 liter buckets, and 1 liter buckets. And each liter of paint covers an area of 8 meters squared. So what I do is I declare a couple of variables. Our area stores the user input from this edit box, and then these 3 variables, which I've initialized to 0, will store how many 5 liter buckets, 2 liter buckets, and 1 liter buckets I need. Okay, so before I do any coding, I need to check, is this paint checkbox checked? Alright, is it checked? If it's checked, then you can go ahead and start calculating, okay, how many buckets you need and all of that. If they haven't checked it, then there's no point calculating this. So you guys see I've put all of these lines in between the begin and end of this if statement. Okay, the first thing I do is I calculate how many liters I will need to paint this area. So I say this area, maybe the user enters in 64, right? If the area is 64 meters and each liter of paint can paint 8 meters, it means you have to say 64 divided by 8, and that will give you 8 liters. You need 8 liters because each liter will cover 8 meters squared. So 8 times 8, you get your 64. Okay, so I know how many liters I have, 8. Now I just need to decide which buckets to buy. Now, because of the prices, you need to always look to buy the largest bucket first because it's cheaper in the end. So you can't say, okay, so I want 8 1 liter buckets. It's going to be so much more expensive than rather having a 5 liter bucket, a 2 liter bucket, and a 1 liter bucket, for instance. Or maybe a 5 liter buckets and 2 2s or something like that. Alright, so that's what I calculate there. Then the next thing I do is I just display in my memo box area to paint. I display the area that they gave us, and then volume of paint required. I just display this calculation. This is how many liters. Okay, now I start the first thing, the first test. If the amount of liters that we need is greater or equal to 5, okay, then we do this. Okay, let's look what we're doing here. I'm saying R liters, so let's stick with our example of 8 divided by 5. 8 divided by 5 is about 1.67, which means we need a full bucket and about 2/3 of a second full 5 liter bucket. Okay. What I'm interested in is the whole number part. Okay? The fact that we need one full 5 liter bucket. I'm not going to buy 2 whole 5 liter buckets. I'm just interested in the fact that I need one whole one. And look what function I've used here, floor. Now remember, you get floor, round, trunk, seal. These functions all require you to have the math in your uses. Okay, but what does floor do? Floor looks at this division and rounds down. So 8 divided by 5, 1.67 will be rounded down to 1. And I store 1 in I5. Okay, so in other words, I need 1 5 liter bottle. Okay, so initially we needed 8 liters. Here I've just gone and bought one 5-liter bottle. How many more liters do I need? 3, right? So our liter shouldn't be 8 anymore. We should decrease it to 3. Because I've already gone to the shop. I've already bought one 5-liter, so I only need 3 now. So this is what I do here. I'm saying this R liters, which is 8, subtract from it I5 multiplied by 5. Now don't get confused with the variable name. This is not equal to 5. Look what I put in it. I put in it 8 divided by 5, which is 1.67, rounded down, which is 1. I put the value of 1 inside I5. So this in here is essentially 1 times 5, which is 5. 8 minus 5 is 3, and I store 3 in R liters. Okay. Now guys, after this is complete, the amount of liters that could remain, there are a few possible options. You might, but it's going to be less than 5. So it might be between 0 and 1, 1 and 2, or 2 and close to 5, 4 point something, right? So this is my first test. I'm saying if the remaining liters are between 1 and 2, so maybe 1.6 or something. So let's say for some reason the amount of liters remaining is 1.6. Which bucket should we buy? If you just need 1.6, which bucket should you buy? Should you go buy 2 1-liters? No, it's cheaper to buy 1 2-liter and have a bit left over. So this is my scenario here. I say inc I2, and in that case we will even have paint left over. The job will be done. Please set R liters to 0. We are finished. Okay, that's the one scenario. What if there are more than 2 liters or equal to 2 liters? So in other words, from 2 up until 4 point something. What about that scenario? Okay. Then I go calculate how many 2-liter buckets I need. So it's almost a similar calculation for that. So let's say, for instance, we had 3 liters left over. Just like in our current example, we've got 3 liters. 3 is greater than 2. So I look here. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 1.5 floored is 1, which means I need 1 2-liter. Okay, so if I've gone to the shop, I've bought a 2-liter, and I needed 3 liters. How many liters do I need now? 1, right? So this is where I update my liters. I say liters, which is 3, minus 1 times 2 is 2, 3 minus 2 is 1. I just need 1 more liter. Good. Then my last scenario here. If the liters remaining is smaller or equal to 1 and not 0. Alright? And not 0. Okay. So in other words, anything greater than 0 up to and including 1. So let's say you need half a liter of paint. Which bucket should you buy? You should buy the 1 liter, right? Or if you just had 1 liter of paint, you should buy the 1 liter. So I increase the I1. Okay, and then I just go and display those totals in my memo. And I'm not going to do the cost now. We can figure that out later. This is quite a bit to wrap your head around this. Guys, don't feel stressed if you don't understand this now, but make an effort. At least remember. And even if you can just understand a little bit, it's good. Your brain will slowly start to make sense of it. I must say, me and Jens sat in the extra classes. This one was a bit of a funny one. I don't know. We struggled for quite a bit. Alright guys, cheers. We're gonna write on this tomorrow, okay? But as just an unprepared, okay? I'm not going to, it's not going to be the detention one, okay? This one is just unprepared. I'll give you a good, I think, somewhere 25-30 minutes for this one. Right.